All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the November 14th, 2025 working group meeting. We can start off with our new membership. I don't think, unless they've just come in the last few seconds, I don't think I see anybody from the agenda here today. However, if there is anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to introduce themselves before, please just raise your hand, let me know, and can give you that chance. No? All right then. Makes it easy. In that case, we can head straight on into our presentation for this morning. So this morning we're joined by Roy Maki from Olds College. The presentation will be on autonomous agricultural equipment evaluation for broadacre crop production. So Roy, please take it away.
Sure, I'll just get set up here. Okay, let me know if you see the screen.
Yes. However, it's not in presentation mode.
Oh,
You can see your search bar and all that.
yeah, it says it started for me, but wait. Let me read that. You're seeing the top bar?
We are, yeah. That may just be the way it is.
Yeah.
We,
Okay. You see most of it?
yes, yeah, we can still see the presentation. It
Okay.
should be good.
All right. So yeah, this is try to squeeze 4 years of work into a few minutes here. So I'll kind of skim over and talk about autonomous agriculture, or how we evaluated autonomous agriculture equipment in broadacre production. I kind of like this shot. It was one of the last in 2023 in the fall when we were doing our last bit of study. And we happened to be out late one night and the Northern Lights came out our way and it made for a nice title page. So the program, it started with Dot Technology, who made a autonomous vehicle. So the college, our major funder, Kane and TD Bank, we all got together and we came up with a 4-year plan and with the cost of about $3 million to do this. So the overarching goal was to comprehensively and independently evaluate autonomous agricultural equipment for the technical, logistical, and economics under different agronomic conditions in Alberta and Saskatchewan. So the methodology, here's a shot of what the Dot Omni platform was. The autonomous vehicle was a diesel-powered robot that basically carried its implement on its back. So we had a 30-foot Seedmaster seeder, a new leader applicant nutrient applicator, and a Pattison Liquid Systems Connect sprayer. The sprayer was 120 feet wide, so that was basically rivaled the size of conventional sprayers out there. And the spreader was to scale as well, 90-foot width of spreading. So that's the equipment that we used for the study. The location, this work happened around the Olds area in Alberta. And we went a few kilometers in each direction, around 100-kilometer radius, where we worked with producer partners to to add to our area and fields of use. And you can see the numbers of acres that we uh, autonomously farmed, basically. And in total, we were around 8,300 autonomous hectares done, or just over 20,000 acres. So that was autonomous operations in 20 from 2020 to 23, 4 growing seasons. And then in 2022, we um, we measured both conventional and autonomous operations for comparison. How we did it, part of the methodology, we used a data collector called a SOMAT XR unit. So it collected geographical GPS data, CAN bus data from the machine. We processed the data in real time. So we measured things like distance traveled and quantitative fuel used. And so that was our main source of information. So the first thing we did every morning that we operated was the data logger would go on, and the last thing we did was turn it off. So we could track everything it did, how long it was down, how long it would stop in the field, how long it took the prep to move to the field. And so we had a complete digital picture every day of what the machine did. And here's a typical map that we would produce. Here's a field that was autonomously sprayed. And you see the red dots there. So those indicate stops. So maybe there is a problem or a planned stop for adding inputs. And on the far left, or just on the left there, you kind of see all the data from the data logger. And we were running at 2 hertz, so every half a second, we'd have a data point that we could analyze. Um, what things that we calculated? Field efficiency, that's a very common calculation used in machinery management. It kind of normalizes the work rates of various machines for comparing. And of course, we did fuel usage, how many, what the fuel used as it traveled. And then there was something else that was bothering us that we needed to measure. So we couldn't find anything in literature, so we came up with this idea to use route efficiency. And in fact, I'll see later, we've published a couple of papers, and we've um, laid this out as this is a new parameter that kind of would describe what we needed to describe. So what it does is it calculates what the minimum distance of travel would be on a field. So here's a field we did. If there were no, if you didn't have to turn and there was no wasted travel in the field, which is basically impossible because you got to go to the end and turn around, you would travel 11.4 kilometers in this field to spray it. So we do that calculation. Then we travel the field and we measure with our digital data logger how far it traveled. So it traveled 14.5 kilometers. Or if it was doing work along that whole path, it would be 53. It would be equivalent to 53 hectares of work done. So basically, we take we call that a route efficiency in a calculation. So that gave us an indication of basically it's an environmental footprint. How much more extra travel are you doing in the field? So we wanted to measure this, with conventional versus autonomy to see if autonomy can route better than a conventional operator. And here's a kind of a snapshot of the results over the 4 years. We measure things like longest hands-off operation, which means autonomy. So our record time without being interrupted, that it worked without stopping for an error, or we didn't have to do anything, was 5 hours and 16 minutes of continuous autonomous run. And I believe that one we had to stop and refuel, so it was a planned stop. Over the whole study, we logged about 424 hours of autonomous operation. So results over the years for seeding, spraying, and spreading, field efficiencies, they kind of varied. The 2022 year was our best year. This was mainly due to there were a lot of technical challenges with the equipment in the first year. They overcome those. And then the last year, we had some other issues. They were mostly uh, software issues and things like that kind of brought that number down in the seeding. Spraying and spreading were fairly close over the years, so the efficiencies were pretty good. But the trend, it did get better and better every year, except for the last year. There was a few issues that hindered the field efficiency. Uh, Fuel usage, again, 2022 was our best year, and it was high the first year because of some technical issues. A lot of refinements happened in the drive. It was a hydraulic drive, and they did a lot of improvements, which increased the power efficiency of the unit. So that showed through with the data. And again, downtime and other things, the fuel shot up in 2023. And you'll see the route efficiency calculation there. It does follow field efficiency, the patterns, as you would expect. So that's what we were getting. Now, when you look at these, they are fairly they are comparable to what you'd find in literature for conventional equipment. So the autonomous was not that far out. Okay, when we compare, when in 2022, when we compared autonomous operations to conventional, uh, we had better field efficiency for seeding and spraying, and not so much for spreading. Um, a lot of this, what really showed here, we did a lot of work on our smart farm. We have the smart farm is 3,000 acres or so, but our fields are a bit on the smaller size. So what we see here is that your field efficiency for seeding, because it was a smaller seeder, the seeder was 30 feet, and we had a 70-foot conventional. So what happens in smaller fields, your field efficiency goes down with the larger equipment. But for spraying and spreading, the equipment were similar in size, but you can see they were fairly close in the field efficiencies. Fuel usage. What's really interesting is that seeding, the autonomous platform had better fuel consumption. And I'll kind of explain that in the next slide or so, what the reason there is. But there was definitely a great trend for seeding that it was more fuel efficient. The spraying and spreading, not quite so much, but spraying and spreading uses a lot less fuel, so it wasn't as impactful as the amount of fuel you use for seeding. And again, the route efficiency, you see there, it kind of trends the same as the field efficiency. So here's kind of a comparison of the equipment that we used between the seeding, spraying, and for conventional versus with Omni. If you look at the seeder, the total weight of Omni versus the total weight of conventional, like Omni is like almost a third of the weight. So the problem with the tractor, a pull tractor, is pull tractor needs horsepower and it needs weights. When you, so it's almost like a tractor is dead weight because you need it anyway, and you just have to have it. But when you can use your implement as your weight and put it on your back of your implement, now you're using the weight of the implement for that traction weight. So just it's physics. You're using less mass around the field, and it shows up in the fuel consumption. So other neat things we did is we did synchronous operations in 2022 with the conventional and autonomy. So here, the bottom left, you'll see both Omni, the autonomous vehicle seeder, and a 60-foot conventional seeder in the same field at the same time, and they were contributing to the same applied map. And on the right, you'll see the yellow lines. So Omni did the headlands, and the larger machine just did the AB lines. So the larger machine could do a lot of the efficient work back and forth, where Omni was a smaller machine and can go around the headlands and get that out of the way. So that was an interesting study that we did. Lots of interesting things came out of that. One thing that really shines is there's a relationship between the size of your field and the size of the equipment you use for efficiencies. And you can kind of get that concept just by saying use a smaller machine to go around obstacles and irregular patterns. It's just going to be more efficient. Other things we did, we'd run Omni autonomously in the same field as the conventional. And you can see how they were fairly comparable in route efficiency and distance traveled. So Omni would pre-route the route prior to launch, and a conventional operator may pre-route it or change things however he sees fit. So you can see that the conventional operator, it looks like he may have serviced the machine or added inputs because he's a little bit more wiggly. And Omni decided to do 2 headlands, and the producer did 1. So there'd be a few differences in the way the field was done. So some key learnings and significant takeaways. Autonomy relies heavily on the implement's ability to monitor proper function and report irregularities to the supervisor control. So use cases for autonomous equipment for broadacre crop production will depend on equipment automation readiness. Efficiencies are improved by consistent repeatable routing, such as turning at headlands. Autonomous turning, which follows an optimum path, it's not impacted by non-autonomous practices like human operator error or turn mismanagement due to encumbering operational tasks. When an operator is turning around manually, well, there could be maybe your phone rings or you're looking at equipment. You're probably not going to make the most efficient turn every time, things like that. Frequent field boundary mapping is recommended, especially if the operator is not familiar with the field. And what you want to do is you want to audit for obstacles, there debris on the edges, wet spaces, and things like that. Always good to, especially with autonomous, until our perception matures where it can determine wet spots and things on its own. It's important to have a lay of the land of your field before you run it. Connectivity, capacity, and reliability. That's getting cell service to your machine. That's fundamental for autonomous success and safety. A non-autonomous or manual operation, it will always be part of support for autonomous missions. You're always going to manually move it around, service a unit, move it to fields and things like that. So I guess in time we can, well, I think a fully autonomous would be there, but I think it's a little ways away. But next steps, you'll see non-autonomous operations being part of the plan. Yeah, and as I said before, during the 4 years of operating, OmniPower totaled 425 hours of autonomous runs. So not bad for the first go of broadacre autonomous equipment. Um, the GCS, that's a ground control station. That was the API that we used to operate it. It worked very well for the 4 years. However, we had a skilled operator that was well trained and very familiar with it. Um, the comments were it was a little aggressive to um, to give to producers. There's a lot of steps that you have to do to set up and that. And I think there's a lot of refinement that could go in to minimize those and set things up. But it was a significant amount of time required to set things up. And I think that's something that needs to be worked on. Okay, our project report card. Contribution to knowledge. We did 2 publications, one to the CBSA and the Journal of the ASAB. So it's American Society of the Agricultural and Biological Engineers. We introduced the route efficiency metric. We were actually a winner of the 2024 Aztec Award for Outstanding Agricultural Innovation last year for an academic institution. So that's the Alberta Science and Technology Award Group. And, 20,000, over 20,000 acres autonomously farmed. And hey, we're grateful to the funders for their support to make this project a success. And we were able to disseminate our findings to a wide audience. We had 133 demos, 139 social media posts, and 2,200 people toured and saw the robot. And most importantly, this slide, I want a shout out to all the people that supported this project to make it a success. I don't know if Garson Law is on, but he was instrumental with Kane to help us out with funding. And so, yeah, these are all the contributors, including the producer partners we worked with. And that's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Roy. Appreciate that. Great presentation. Really good to see how it progressed over the 4 years. So that's awesome.
Thanks.
I'll open the floor up to questions. We'll start with one that came through in the chat here. Giuliano, great presentation. Did you do any labor savings calculations?
Yes, I did. I'd have to bring them up. So there's labor savings when when you're running autonomously, right? Because you're freed up to do other things. It's supervised autonomy, so you must be in the field. But once it's running, you're unencumbered. So you can do things like phone your suppliers, so you're not phoning them at 10 and in the evening when you're not working. So it opens that up. It's a bit more work preparing. The hard part about this is you need an extra operation. You have to move the equipment out on a truck because you can't run these things on the road. So that's the advantage that conventional equipment has now, is that you can drive the tractor on the road to the field. Here, you should put it on a truck. Around the smart farm, we didn't have to go on any public roads, so we didn't have to do that. So there are savings when you're not on it operating the vehicle, but you have to be in the field doing that. And there's a few other savings too that get back to the audience on too.
Excellent. Sandra is wondering, what are your plans, if any, to commercialize the findings? Have you found a commercialization partner?
Um, so what happened? Dot was developed in Saskatchewan by a small business, actually Seedmaster, who makes seeders. They were bought by Raven. Raven was bought by CNH. So we are still working with CNH. They really appreciated the work we did, and we did a very comprehensive report to them. So they are on hold now in autonomy, and they're thinking about their next steps. But so there's definitely a good working relationship there. And if they move forward, we may be helping them out.
Excellent. Robert is wondering, why is supervised required?
It's legislation. Um, it's the perception is not there yet. Perception is eyes and ears of an operator that you have to do electronically. So they made good progress with it, but they didn't put the cameras on for. So this is for obstacle avoidance. If something comes up, if you're standing or a vehicle is in the way, the perception has to be able to stop it. That is not mature yet. That's the next step. So the way to get around that is supervised. You have to be within line of sight at all times.
Excellent. When talking about the conventional system versus the autonomous system, was the conventional system also on a guidance system or GPS?
Yes, yes, it was. So we had to share the same map and AB lines and boundaries and things to make this work. We actually did it with two omnis as well in the same field at the same time. So the trick is to have everything contribute to the same as applied map and get that synchronized. There were a few hiccups with it. We did have an offset that we had to manually change there. The Omni would be about, it was strange, it was 30 feet off doing the headlands, and so we had to manually nudge it over. So there's a few little irregularities there that I think we were running on two different RTK systems, and I think that there was an offset somehow there that wasn't set up right. But so we had a little bit of manual adjustment there to make it work.
Hmm. Um, Kaya's wondering, with the Omni, what were you using to track the kilometers traveled, time, and stops in the field?
Well, that was the digital data logger. So we were measuring GPS position and speed, and we were measuring parameters from the CAN bus on the engine, so we could measure real fuel and everything like that. And the SOMAT we had programmed, so we just integrate the speed, and we could get a distance traveled.
Gotcha. Excellent. Kaya says thank you. Um, awesome. Were there any other questions for Roy? What type of shortest path algorithm have you implemented and are currently using?
The the ground control station was would give us tools to route the project. So our inputs were, how many headlands do you want? What's your heading? So you have got to set it up. It did not have any real optimization algorithms for how you route a field. So there's definitely work that has to be there. And I've heard of some producers doing some very cool, clever things out there that no one's really adopted yet. And the one thing I wanted to try, and we never got around to it, is the old way we did things before we went back and forth. For the equipment was pull type, so you went around and around and around and around, and you stopped in the middle. Now, guess what? There's no turning in headlands, right? So I'd like to revisit that sometime if I ever get back into that. But I think there's some other ways of doing things where you could reduce, bring the route efficiency up by less travel in the field. Because when you go round and round and round, you're still cutting on the edges somewhat, right? So I heard of one producer in Saskatchewan. He takes his combine out and he starts in the middle of the field. He does the diagonals back and forth, and he starts the middle going around. And he says he's more efficient because the grain cart travel is always less and it comes in on the corners. And then then you can manage compaction a bit if you kind of manage your travel with a big grain cart. So I think you've opened something up here that there's a real good need, I think, for efficient routing strategies for autonomy and for conventional equipment to follow, right?
Was the Omni operated at the same speed as the conventional comparator?
No, and that couldn't happen because it just didn't have the power. Um, it only had 173 horsepower. Where look at the Cedar tractor was 400 and Omni had 129. And so the work rates were lower, and especially the sprayer and the spreader, it didn't have the horsepower that so we couldn't go as fast. We could go about 11 or 12 kilometers an hour quite easily, where high clearance sprayers can go 25 kilometers an hour. So we took a hit on work rates, but we were comparing if we had a bigger engine, we could do that. So but because we could compare things like efficiencies, that part didn't matter.
Mm, excellent. Thanks for all the great questions, everybody. Um, were there any more for Roy before we head on into the rest of our agenda for today?
It's Ian here. I have a couple of questions. Sorry, I'm driving, so I wasn't able to watch. Is the Omni a dot?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so here's my couple of quick questions. If you put the two dots out there, because you said you had 70 feet in the conventional and 30 feet in the Omni, so if you had two 30-foots, how do you think the efficiency and all the other parameters would work themselves out in that concept? Because we keep trying to talk to farmers about swarm aspects because of the smallness of the robotic stuff.
Yeah. Well, and we did that. We ran both Omnis in the same field at the same time. There, so it works. There is no collision avoidance yet. So these are things that would have to work. So you could run them into each other, but they were both contributing to the as applied map. And what we did, one would do the headlands and one would do the ABs for ease of management. Now it gets a little bit more, your supervised autonomy gets a little bit more complicated because you're watching them in the maps do their things. So you're kind of responsible that they don't interfere with each other. But yeah, I think it opens up with the swarm. I guess you could say we had a swarm of two, but it you can have them do different things like headland, especially with the regular fields. I mean, this really opens up to how you route them to two or more, and how you place them in the field and where they start. There's a lot of neat things you could do, I think, by having a swarm. And yeah.
my other question would be then, based on that kind of where you can attach different implements, have you talked to the Nexat people from Germany at all?
No, we haven't. We do have a connection there, but the Nexat is about controlled traffic, a lot of it, right? And it's a quite a bit larger machine. I don't know if our field size would really be a good. We'd have to go with producer partners. We'd be open to it, but if Garson would give us more money, maybe we'll give him a call.
We're
Thanks very
available.
much.
We're
Good.
available.
Talk to the FCC. Maybe we can get some money from them.
Yeah, well, we work with FCC too. We'll bring it up at the next meeting.
Excellent. All right. Well, Roy, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today and giving your presentation, especially knowing you're a couple time zones behind us. So getting up nice and early is always appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
And everybody else, thanks for your great questions and great interaction. It's always good to see. So we appreciate you all as well. All right. So we'll move forward through the agenda a little bit. I'll touch on some stuff that we're involved in recently. So this week, Ashley and I were at the Level Up Skilled Trades Career Day here in London. So it was 3 days at our facility here. I think it was really good. We had our sprayer cab simulator set up. A couple of hiccups here and there, but for the most part, it worked pretty well. And we had an Oz also for students to be able to drive around. We got a lot of good interaction. We were spreading the awareness for the Ag Robotics Challenge competition that's coming up. A lot of students and teachers as well seemed interested in that. So we're looking forward to see that hopefully more comes out of that. And sort of tying on to that in a similar vein, next week on Tuesday, the 18th, we're going to be at the Chatham Kent Egg Career Day. So that's going to be at Ridgetown. So if you know of any students who are going to Ridgetown, tell them to come by and say hello and check us out. They can learn a little bit more. Yes, sorry, not yesterday. Wednesday, the 12th, was the Waterloo RoboHub Fall Symposium. Just want to ask if anybody was there in attendance, if they had any insights or comments as to how that event went.
Good afternoon. I was there, and it
Yay,
was
excellent,
awesome.
Lisa.
I had the pleasure of speaking very quickly in a lightning presentation, which was exciting and fun. My tax was presenting with me as well. Rockwell Automation was. There were a number of really exciting panels on robot and human interaction, especially in the medical tech sector. But of course, robots are so applicable in agriculture as well. A great day and yeah, a good event as always.
Excellent, glad to hear it. Has anybody else been in attendance of anything in the last week or last couple weeks you want to comment on? Let folks know how it went.
Ian here. Not a lot. Well, a live thing if you could afford to go with time and money. But Agritechnica is winding up today in Hanover, Germany, and the big guys have come out of the fog this year with quite a bit of innovation and automation and robotics. So if people are interested, there's lots of little YouTube videos online about some of the stuff, which is pretty exciting.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks, Ian. We'll definitely be keeping an eye out for some articles and things like that on was going on over there so that hopefully we can share with the group some highlights of the event. And then who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to go. We'll see though. Okay, excellent. I'll open the floor for roundtable. If there's anything that anybody would like to question, comments, query, mention. Now's the opportunity. No, nobody's got anything going on?
Ian here again, if I can take a second.
Absolutely.
One of the interesting videos I saw from Agritechnica was Carl, who is Kubota's robotic power unit. And what was intriguing when you think back to the demos that we've done with the Oz and some of the others, we've always been concerned if it's out there running autonomously, how does it know if it's filling up with weeds or corn stalks or whatever, if it's tilling and stuff. And this new Carl has all these sensors on it that determine if it loses a tooth, determines if the material on the surface is not flowing through it properly in that. So there's the sensors are sort of now replacing the eyeballs of the operator in those kind of situations. It was quite intriguing to watch the thing operate in the field.
Interesting. Very cool. Thank you, Ian. All right. Well, I can send out, well, not send out, tell you right now. Just another reminder that we are still looking for new speakers. We've started filling up our calendar for January, I think one into February so far. But we're always looking for new speakers, repeat speakers who have new updates. So we appreciate everybody who has sent us themselves or recommendations for others so far, and we keep them coming because there's a lot of content out there. So we're always happy to hear about it. Still a little bit. Sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
No problem. I just wanted to mention that tonight at 11:59 is the deadline to apply for our call for proposals. It was developed. Thanks, Kate. I know you have an application. It was developed in conjunction with the BC Ministry of Agriculture and OMAFA, again, where they helped, Siobhan, yes, Heart Siobhan, thank you for your help, where they helped us understand the most pressing problems for the province in terms of agriculture that needs to be solved for. So we have a lot of applications in the works. Some still need to be submitted, but there's still some time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Lisa. That deadline's tonight. So if you're still planning on taking part in that, get your applications in quick.
And I will say it's 11:59 Pacific time, in fairness to our West Coast friends. So gives you a few extra hours if you're over here.
Pacific time. Excellent. Thanks, Lisa. I think Dr. Adams is interested in the link for that. If you have
sure.
it, mind posting in the chat. Thanks so much. And Dr. Adams, I do see your comment interested in speaking. I will send you an email after this meeting, and we can look at getting that arranged. So thank you very much. Still is a small amount of research funding available for the 2025 year, and the intake is open for 2026. So the timelines are in the agenda there. If you have any questions, head to our website, email us. We're happy to help you. And then we've gotten a lot of great responses on our call for folks to join the research and the validation subcommittees. So thank you to everybody who has raised their hand on that. If you were we're going to be sending out emails on that. But if you would still like to be a part of it, let us know. It's not like a limited number of seats or anything like that. We're happy to have anybody who would like to participate and help us out on that. Um, I don't have any new funding announcements or opportunities for this week. None of the new ones other than what we've heard. So yeah, I think that that sort of brings me to the end of everything I've got. Ashley, was there anything I missed, do you think? No?
No, I think you covered it all.
Excellent. Uh, so I'm happy to leave the call open here for some more roundtable if anybody has anything else. If not, maybe we cut it a little early this week. But I will leave that up to you if anybody has anything to comment on. Don't all raise your hands at once. I can only offer so much time per week to let everybody speak. Leah, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, I just dropped it in the chat that we do have an opportunity available at the Northern Ontario Agricultural Conference coming up in Sudbury in February 2026. We'll be happy to have the Western Fair Association join us. But we have, I posted the link in 946. We have an open call this month for student research papers, student scholarships, and innovative farming awards if they have anything related to Northern Ontario agriculture. So if you know people who might want to get involved, get in touch. I think they're open till November 28th for submissions. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. Yes, we've already been in touch. We're going to be having a booth there in Sudbury in February. We're going to be partnering with Haggerty on that one, so definitely come and check us out if you're in that northern area. Alrighty then. I think that'll bring us to the end of the call for this week. Oh, Royal Winter Fair closes on the 16th. Yes, good reminder. Thank you for that. So if you're in Toronto, there's a University of Guelph section you can check out there, but also check out the rest of it, of course. It's a great event. Yeah, so that closes on Sunday. So you still got the weekend to check it out if that's something you're interested in. Alrighty. I think we are going to come to a little bit of an early close this week. Everybody, thank you very much for attending. Roy, thank you once again for taking the time to get here nice and early for you, and to present to the group. It was a great presentation. Everybody have themselves a great weekend, and we will see you all next week on the 21st.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.